I've got to admit, I always think that my Ferguson, my trusty Ferguson, I should say, always looks like a bug. I think it looks like a bug. What do you think? Does it look like a bug? It does look like a bug. Those headlights make it look like a bug. Anyway, today it's a little bit cooler than I actually thought it was going to be. So I had decided, since I got a bunch of work done very early this morning, that I would spend a little bit of time in the new section of the barn where the donkeys live, because this year's project is to build some box stalls. And I figured it would be a really good time to move some of the things that have piled up that I've acquired over the last few years since the building was built, and move them to a different place in the barn and elsewhere, so that I could get ready to build some box stalls. But rather than being the, I'm gonna say 30 or so that it was when I got up this morning, the temperature is now dropped to 15, and it looks like it's still dropping. Everything is turning to ice outside. And where the donkeys are is actually pretty windy. So even though I'm inside the barn, as you can see, there's a space under the doors, and that's so that when I put in some more fill, because it gets rather wet here, and I build up the floor, the doors will still swing. And I've got my neatly stacked little pieces of wood, because you can never have too many scraps of wood that you might need to use. I've got some leftover metal, my fountain is in the back, some tires, and I've got a bunch of PT that I'm gonna need to move today. So what I'm going to do is see how much I can get done before I get too cold, and decide that I'm just going to call it quits for today, because this is a project that I'm going to be doing over the next, if time permits, couple of months. If time doesn't, it'll take longer. But eventually what I want to do is build box stalls so that when the farrier comes, we can segregate donkeys, and so that if I have a donkey that needs special care or treatment or needs to be away from the other donkeys, that I'm able to segregate that donkey. And so the Ferguson is going to need to vacate the premises and go to a different section of the barn. I've got my metal recycling there. There's the old barn, and where I store hay, which it's a good time right now since I'm not due for hay delivery quite yet. I've got a couple more days to do some more work and get things moved around and get ready to build out some box stalls. So I got quite the job ahead of me.